Key Concept 2.1 is basically about the new states and empires that were developing and increasing in size, and how they lived their lives and developed religions and spread that with one another. So the first Roman numeral is just about Judaism and Hinduism and how they affected their regions and how they affected culture and the people in their regions. The second Roman numeral is about the other new belief systems that were started at this time, like Buddhism and Confucianism, Greek philosophy, and other things like that, and how they affected their culture and were incorporated into government and affected the people once again in those regions. Then the third Roman numeral is about belief systems and how they affected the social structures and also sort of changed them while enforcing some of them. Like Confucianism had ancestor veneration, which tied in with what had been going on before, but Buddhism and Christianity also gave such things such as women could become nuns, and women could have monastic lifestyles as well. The next Roman numeral is it's basically about how religious systems that were already in place, such as animism and shamanism and just beliefs that were already there, could also be seen that incorporated into new belief systems like Confucianism and just all of the new religions that were being developed. Some vocabulary. There are many different terms for each Roman numeral. In 2.1, it has to do with a lot of the vocabulary that was associated with Judaism and Hinduism, since those are the older religions, and that's what was dealt with in the first Roman numeral. The second one has to do with Confucianism, Buddhism, Christianity, Taoism, and Greek philosophy, and things that were associated with that and practiced in those religions. Roman numeral 3 is about mostly Confucianism and Buddhism and Christianity and how those affected society. So you see things like nuns, because it gave women the opportunity to lead monastic lives, and Confucian properties that have to do with ancestor veneration. And then the fourth Roman numeral has also things to do with ancestor veneration and just general religious terms from the religions that were affected by the ideas from things like shamanism. For primary documents in 2.1, we have, for the first Roman numeral, the Hebrew scriptures and the Vedas, since Hinduism and Judaism were very prominent in this time period and had very big influences and impacts on the culture and the law in their regions, and brought people together with their similar moral viewings, since they all had the same religion and they all based their ideas off of that. 2.1 and the second Roman numeral is how the newer religions affected their culture and their intellectual developments and things such as that, and how it even became sort of part of their government and just how it affected their region. And then the third Roman numeral is mostly about Confucianism and Christianity and how they affected their regions. A lot of this is basically how religions affected the culture and the politics and just everything where they spread and where they began. But then the fourth Roman numeral has how earlier belief systems affected the religions that affected their society. So they basically spread those beliefs as well, but shamanism and animism, things like that, definitely affected those religions. Then there are some helpful videos, basically just about the faiths that were there and that were developed. And it could help to understand these key concepts. And then we have evidence for each Roman numeral. Once again, these symbols are from Hinduism and Judaism, and they represent how they affected culture and politics They did this by just introducing morals, and those people obviously thought those morals were important and thought their religion was important, so they incorporated it into their government, like Hinduism with the caste system. And that's important because it affected not only their culture, but also their politics and some of their intellectual developments. Brings us to the next Roman numeral, and these really affected their intellectual developments as well. Like Taoism brought poetry and metalworks and a lot of medicine to the regions that it affected, mostly China. Um, and then these are all symbols just from the major religions: Taoism, Confucianism, Christianity, Greek philosophy, things like that, and how they affected their worldview. Like for the universal truths that it mentions in the key concepts, and it just affected that through politics and once again their morals and then things that they held as important. The third Roman numeral is how it shows that ancestor veneration was already there, but Confucianism really emphasized it and really made sure that it was still important. And then that just reinforced what they already held as like respected and as important. But it also brought new opportunities. Like Christianity brought the opportunity for women to be nuns instead of just men being the really religious people and men being religious leaders. And then the last Roman numeral shows animism and shamanism, and it talks about how those belief systems and things like it really affected the major religions. Like animists think that everything has a spirit, like even the sun, the moon, the stars, like everything. And you can see that like some belief systems like Christianity, they don't think that everything has a spirit, but that humans have a spirit. And a lot of other religions do this too. And that could have played a part in that belief. And then shamanism believes that certain people can communicate with higher powers like gods. And in many religions, you see people that could communicate with higher powers or that like can interpret signs from higher powers instead of just everyone is normal and has an individualized connection with God. No, certain people have more unique communications with their gods. For the maps of this key concept, we have the first Roman numeral as a map of early Israel because that's where Judaism developed and spread as a religion. And this is where society was affected the most by that religion, so that's just why it's important. Okay, for the second Roman numeral, which you can't see because my computer is freaking out, it's just a map of Greece and where Greek philosophy was spread up at the top now. And it shows where the culture and really politics and intellectual developments especially were affected because of this philosophy and this religion and belief system. For key concept 3, which you also can't see right now because of the computer, it's okay, so for key concept 3, the map is of the spread of Buddhism, Hinduism, and Christianity, but we're just focusing on Buddhism and Christianity since those are the ones that brought new opportunities, like for women to become nuns and just lots of new opportunities to where it was spread. And you can see the regions where it affected those people. And for the final thing on this page, there's a map of the spread of Confucianism. And Confucianism really affected China, but it was also affected by animism. No, sorry, it was affected by ancestor veneration, which was another belief system like animism and shamanism that came before these major religions, but really affected them in what they believed in. And this was a big thing in Confucianism. It was very respectful to the ancestors, and that was just very important in Confucianism, which later affected the Chinese government and lots of people in China. And that's Key Concept 2.1.